For just as long as the Spirit gives utterance this morning, I want to preach from the topic, the choice is up to you. The choice is up to you. I know BW3 may be able to get with this particular analogy. When I was coming up and playing certain video games, there would be certain video games that allowed you to choose the level of difficulty that you would begin with. So you could either begin as beginner, you could begin or novice, or you could begin as intermediate, or you could begin as an expert. Now, if you have never played the game, all three choices are essentially very difficult. You've never played the game before. You don't know what to expect. You don't know how to choose. So oftentimes, you allow your hubris and your pride to say, I will not start off as a beginner. I've been playing video games for years. I got this. I'm going to start at the intermediate level. And it doesn't always work out. Sometimes you find yourself saying, I think I better put myself back just a little bit of notch. Life has a way of providing us choices, and sometimes the choices we make are not always the right choice. But the reality is, we did and do have choices. As I began to share this morning, there are choices that are in our midst that we make every day. It's election season. Any trip outside of our homes will reveal a sea of signs saying, vote for me. Everywhere we look, someone is working to convince us that they are the right choice. And some will say upon reflection that this is like choosing between a root canal or enduring the pain. Either way is going to be some level of difficulty. But the choice is choosing our heart. Think about it. Choosing our heart. And when I say choosing our heart, if you have to choose between a root canal, which is painful, or enduring the pain, which is painful, choose your heart. One of them is going to lead to healing. One of them is going to just lead to more pain. So you choose your heart. It's a difficult decision. This is why many people avoid going to the dentist. They try to grin and bear it, or grimace and bear it as it might be, for as long as possible. Some fear of going to the dentist. Choose your heart. Someone may say, well, Pastor, give me some more examples of choosing heart. Well, working out is hard. You don't automatically wake up in the morning and say, woo, let's go work out today. Oh, yeah, I feel like running a half mile. I'm going to run a mile this morning. I'm going to get it in. You don't wake up necessarily feeling that way unless you've been doing it a while. It's hard to get started. But it's just as hard to have health conditions because you did it. Choose your heart. It's hard to save money. It's harder, it's just as hard to be consistently broke. So sometimes we might just have to choose our heart. But there are some difficult decisions that we can make. Do we really need Starbucks coffee?
No. No.
I mean, anybody loves a caramel macchiato every now and then. And a frappuccino can do your being real good, but really a cup of coffee at 7-Eleven or at Circle K, you can get that for $1. Now you go to Starbucks and you're paying $3. Now imagine you have just saved yourself $10 by stopping by Circle K every day, than stopping by Starbucks. It's hard, but possible. On Tuesday, this nation will get the leader it deserves, no matter who wins. I'm going to say that a little bit slower. On Tuesday, this nation will get the leader it deserves, no matter who wins. November 3rd will uncover what may be the core of this nation. Who we are collectively as a nation will be uncovered. Yes. Now some will look and say, you're preaching, I'm not preaching against or for anyone in this particular moment. I am preaching for the awareness that this nation can choose its leader, and whoever the nation chooses will be a reflection of the nation. Some will say, well, how? You look back 4 years ago and say, well, how did that gentleman win? That's the core of the nation. If you did not know it, just look and read anything that's going on. Proud Boys and all of those others who are out there doing all kinds of things, they weren't born 4 years ago. They were not given birth. We're not talking about 4-year-olds out there doing this thing. We're talking about grown people who were in, maybe they may have been in the bushes, and all we did was have someone who came and shook the bushes and knew that there were snakes in the bushes. And so now when the snakes come out, the nation gets what it deserves because there have been snakes in the nation. That's because you didn't see them didn't mean they were not there. And in that same way, the coronavirus did not cause the problems that we are seeing in the emotional, mental health nature of the people. Coronavirus did not make people more susceptible to suicide. They're not dealing with their own issues caused that. Coronavirus just took the cover off. It let people know what was already hiding within. So when you talk about going back to the way things were, do you really want that? No. Think about it. Yes, it's hard right now. And it's hard to deal with you. Doing the work for your own mental health, doing the self-introspective look for you is difficult. But not doing it is even more potentially deadly. Choose your heart. The choice belongs to us. Now, this story here in the book of 1 Chronicles, I must admit, I was unaware of this story. And I have read the Bible. I don't know why it never came to me. It just didn't stick out when I read it the first time. But when I read it this time, this story is one heaven of a story. It's one heck of a story. So if I would break it down from a biblical standpoint, you have David, a man after God's own heart. You look through the chapters preceding chapter 21, and you see Israel winning battle after battle, the Lord being with David battle after battle, the Lord doing things that only the Lord could do, battle after battle. They're winning, and then one day, David takes upon himself this forgotten that he slew the giant Goliath with 5 smooth stones and a slingshot. He has already defeated a larger enemy with the presence and power of God on his life, but here now he wants to count his strengths. He wants to see just how strong are we. Well, this is offensive to God. When you think that you're going to try to depend on your own strength and abilities to get things done, God is likely to say, go ahead, fool.
Right?
You don't want, you think you've been doing this, David? You think your fighting warriors have been winning these battles for you? You think this is on you? So the story goes, David does have somebody who tries to say, bruh, let's not play with God, bruh, aren't they all yours? That's what he said. They all belong. May the Lord increase it exponentially. They're all yours. David says, I hear you, man, but I heard this Chinese guy talking about Sun Tzu, and he had this book called The Art of War. So I heard somebody whispered in my ear about the art of war, and in the art of war, it says that if you know yourself and you know your enemy, you will win every battle, because there's some battles you will not fight. And then it says if you know yourself but you don't know your enemy, you'll win half of your battles. But if you don't know yourself and you don't know your enemies, you will lose every battle. So I'm following Sun Tzu and the art of war. God said, that's how you want to play it? Go ahead, my man. I'm just saying to anybody here that God has been blessing, and you start suddenly taking your eye off of who has been blessing you and start thinking it might have been you. Yes. It's never been you. You have never been the source of your blessings. It has always been and will always be God who is at the source of all of the ways that we have been blessed. Yes. And so David offends God. So the story continues on, and all of a sudden, David realizes, he's got 1.1 million fighters, is what the census comes back and tells us. You got about 1.1 million. But I think his name is Joab, he did not go and talk about 2 other tribes, from Levi and Benjamin. He said because it was offensive, he knew it was offensive to God. Sometimes you got to follow your heart. Yeah. Even when you know that the direction you have been given is wrong, follow your heart. He did not give David the full number because he didn't even go to 2 of the tribes out of the 12. But he had 1.1. So David realizes all of a sudden, oh man, I have messed up. Whoa. God then does what something seems very peculiar to me. He says, choose your punishment. Yeah. I think I should have just titled this message, Would You Rather? Because that's a game these kids are playing nowadays. Would you rather? Would you rather 3 years of famine? Or would you rather 3 months of being under the hand of somebody else and ravaging forces? Or would you rather 3 days under the fiery eyes of God? Would you rather? Would you rather? The choice is up to you. God, none of these choices seem good. It's all. I don't want to divert too much, but there was a dinner we had, and we prepared it, and I think his name is Zion. No, it was Mary Ann. Mary Ann was maybe 2 years old. And the dinner was placed before her, and she looked and she said, it's all bad. It's all bad. I'm pretty sure David saw these choices and he ended up and said, it's all bad. It's all bad. But even among his bad choices, there was still a better choice among the bad. So David chose his bad. Now this is what influenced David's decision. Because what David recognizes is that famine could be an end result of man's bad behavior and God acting together, and now you have a famine. Being under the hand of somebody else is all man. So you can choose 3 years of the unknown, of it being a balance between God causing the famine, a man causing the famine, or you can choose 3 months of having an occupying force come in and take over your land and just act out any kind of way that they want to, or you can choose 3 days of the Lord just wreaking havoc on all the land. Now, David chooses the third choice, 3 days, not because of the length of time, because God can clearly hit a straight lick with a crooked stick and could have wiped everybody out in the blinking of an eye. So 3 days, 3 days of plague? Oh my goodness. They never knew you ever existed on the planet Earth. God had that, just ask Sodom and Gomorrah. So we know the power of God and God's ability to completely wipe something out. But in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, there's also the story of Lot. And in the story of Lot is that even though God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, God saved Lot and Lot's family. Yeah. So there is an essence and a nature of God that when you put your hands in God, then God at least might have mercy on you. Sisters and brothers, the better choice is always God. Yeah. It may be hard. Choose your heart. You can choose to be punished by God, or you can choose to be punished by man. I'm choosing God. I don't want to be punished at all.
Okay. Amen.
Can I just skate by this time, Lord? You see, Lord, what had happened was God. In the early 2000s, I think they wrote a song about it. Lord, you know I'm naughty by nature. I didn't really mean it like that. So God, however, and we see he's proven right, because in one day, 70,000 of those 1.1 million are gone. This plague wasn't no joke. This was one. It was like go. See, and the plague that we're calling the coronavirus can be considered as a plague. Well, if we look at it as a plague, which is generally something that God allows and brings upon a group of people, then wake up. Look for God's hands in the midst of this. There is nothing that happens in our life that God has not allowed. There is nothing that happens in your life that God has not allowed. There is nothing that is happening in your life that God has not allowed. And there is nothing that is happening in your life that God cannot transform into something greater than it looks right now. Yeah. Whatever it is, if it seems like misery, God can transform misery into majesty. If it seems like troubles and trials, God can give you trophies for your troubles and your trials. If it seems like aches and pains, God has a way of showing that he is a healer, and sometimes it's your pain that slows you down long enough so you can hear God's voice. What I'm sharing is sometimes the choices are hard, sometimes the choices are difficult, but God is in it all. Yeah. So no matter who wins on Tuesday, Biden or Trump, they don't never talk about Kanye winning. But when I looked at my ballot, he was on the ballot here in Louisiana. I'm just saying, at least I knew his name. There were like 7 other candidates who I had never heard of in my entire life. I'm looking, I'm saying, oh, so you don't even have a commercial. Where are you running? You not, I don't even know how you're going to be an also ran. Because I don't even know your name. I'm just saying. But so there are choices. So even if one of the also rans wins, unlikely, still, we will get the cash Jerusalem and the Jews are simply a prototype for us to see how God identifies and can work in a people group for all people. Yeah. So now all of a sudden you want to build all these walls. Do you understand? You seemingly don't know God. Right. God hasn't found the wall that God cannot cross. And the last time somebody thought they was going to build something higher and higher, that was in Babel, and God said, try me. I ain't playing with you. I'm just saying the whole story about David in this particular story yields to an understanding that David submits and surrenders to the Almighty God, saying, I will rather put my hands in God. Yeah. And when he does, we see that the angel, when God set that angel free to act out. Come on, y'all read this. I was reading the story right there. You want to read it all, you go read it. That angel was God saw about to do it one more time. God said, wait a minute. When God unleashes it, it's gone. But he was responsive. His hand was up. God said, slow down. He said, what's wrong? I'm having fun here. God said, have mercy. God has mercy on them, not because they have not earned the punishment. They earned their pain. They earned the punishment. But God has mercy, and that's what David was counting on in the end, that God might have mercy on them. Yeah. And God does. Sisters and brothers, you can act out. But in the end, after acting out, after you've done all the bad that you old enough, grown enough, and got enough health in your body to do, and even though you stopped now, and you know you didn't stop because you didn't like it no more, you stopped because you just couldn't keep up. Even then, put your hand and your life in God. Confess. Go back to God like David does. Lord, I messed up. So, my sisters and my brothers, the choice is up to you. Choose your hard. It may all be hard. Choose your hard. I wrote a song years ago. It goes like this. And I think this is, as I connect with the text, it says, Lord, I know I have failed you. Still you never stop loving me. Even when I would not come near you, you never stop loving me. Loving me, you gave your son. For my life on the cross, he was hung. And you never stopped loving me. No, you never stopped loving me. That's why I praise you. That's why I honor you. That's why I lift your name in praise. I give you glory, Lord. I bow down before you, Lord, 'cause you never stop loving me. No, you never stop loving me. No, you never stop loving me. No, you never stop loving me. No matter what you choose, God will never stop loving you. No matter how hard it is, God will never stop loving you. If it is that you wish to commit your life to Jesus Christ or recommit your life, now is the time. Just type it in our comments section, wave your hand, and we'll lift you in prayer. Say it on I can hear you. Say it on our conference call. we definitely want to give people an opportunity to make choices and decisions and to trust that God is in control. If you wish to give, you can give on the Givelify app, Hollywood Presbyterian Church, or you can Cash App. You put the Cash App me. I would make sure it goes to the church. Be directed to Good Hope Presbyterian Church or Hollywood Presbyterian Church. Just put that in your comment section, and we'll make sure that it goes where you would like for it to go. I want to say, I thank God for each one of you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for calling in on the conference call. This is a day that the Lord our God has made. Walk in favor, walk in confidence, walk gloriously, knowing that God is in charge no matter what. Whether it's a plague, whether it's a famine, whether it's a war or breaks out, no matter what, God has got you. God's got you. How does that feel? Pop your collar. God's got you. God's got me. Yeah, baby, yeah. I'm going to handle this. Now, you might end up on your knees, but even there, that's when you're standing tall.
Okay.
We stand tallest on our knees in prayer as we surrender unto God. If all minds are clear, let us stand.